I have just picked up an LR Baggs Anthem Pickup for my acoustic guitar, which is a Taylor 414CE. Now the Taylor 414CE comes out of the factory with Taylor's Expression 2 system, which is a very capable pickup, but I wanted to see if I could get the microphone from the LR Baggs, which gives a little bit more body, a little bit more of the guitar's resonance to the pickup, into my Taylor. Now one of the problems with this setup is that if you use the full LR Baggs, you have to drill a hole through the bridge where the Piezo goes, because it has a Piezo pickup as well as the microphone. And I didn't really want to drill a hole in the guitar. So I did find a link to a video from a guy that has a Taylor Mini, where he has taken the Expression 2 Piezo pickup and he has plugged that into the LR Baggs Anthem. So I wanted to try that. At least it would give me an option without having to drill anything into my guitar. I then took out the tailpiece or the end pin of the guitar on my Taylor, where the battery pack and the jack connector is. And my idea was just to take the jack from the Taylor off of that tailpiece, off of that end piece, and put it in, and put the LR Baggs one in its place. Now this turned out to be a little bit trickier than I had expected, because I could not remove the jack from the Expression 2 system. I don't know if there's a lock nut, but I could not unscrew that jack assembly from that end pin piece. So I ended up figuring out that I could use some connector cables to use the existing 4-pin connector that comes standard with the Expression 2 system and connect up the battery as well as the jack so that they're ready to plug into the LR Baggs preamp. So let me show you what that looks like. So here is what the end pin looks like from the assembly for the Taylor. So you can see here's where the jack is, and this was the part that I was hoping to unscrew so that I could get it out and I could replace that whole jack assembly with the jack that comes with the LR Baggs. Now I'm going to take the battery pack out here. You can see that this little compartment unclips and the battery comes out. So that's very handy because it's an external access for the battery, which I really liked. I didn't want to use the little bag that comes with the LR Baggs, which you have to mount inside of the guitar. And that means you have to loosen the strings or actually take the strings off in order to change the battery. So I really wanted to use this external battery system. Now if we look a little bit further down this assembly, you'll see that we have a little circuit board here which doesn't really do very much. There's no logic in here. It's just routing the cables. And so you can see we have the positive and negative from the battery, and we have left and right from the jack. These are kind of the output channels of the jack. And there's a 4-pin connector. And you can see I've put 4 connector cables in there. So this is where the pin for the Expression 2 system fits in. And I've just unclipped that to take this out of the guitar. And then I have the connector cables, which I have connected in. Now I used my voltmeter to figure out which channels route where. And they have actually labeled it, so it didn't take a lot of guesswork to figure this out. And so there is ground, or the negative, and the 9 volt. Those are from the battery. And then my other 2 cables are the left and right, which are feeding into the jack. Now you'll see the other end of this cable, I have an eighth of an inch jack. And this will plug into the output port of the LR Baggs preamp. The other end of the battery cables, this is the 2-pin connector that came with the original battery cable from the LR Baggs, and I just disconnected that pin head and connected my other 2 cables in, and I spliced it long enough so that I have a little bit of length so that it can get from the tail of the guitar up to the sound hole where the LR Baggs preamp is going to sit. So this cabling wasn't really hard at all once I'd figured out which pins go to which connectors. And to test this, one of the things you have to realize is that you have to put a jack into the assembly here in order to actually turn the battery on, because without a jack connected, the battery actually doesn't have a closed circuit, and this is obviously to preserve battery when nothing is plugged in. So you need to actually plug a jack in, and then using the voltmeter I was able to check that I'm getting voltage, and I was able to check that the jack ends are matching up, right? So the inside goes to the inside and the outside goes to the outside. So I know that I'm routing the correct channels over that audio cable. Now the way I tested this was I actually plugged this other end of this jack into my Motu, which is my preamp, and I was able to actually get some signal going down when I plugged the microphone into the LR Baggs preamp. So I'm going to do that replacement, and I'll come back and we can test what it sounds like. So I've rolled the Anthem all the way to the Piezo connection. So what we should be hearing now is just the Piezo pickup, the original Piezo pickup from the Expression to the Taylor pickup that's now going through the preamp in the Anthem. And I'll play some drop D. All right, let me roll it all the way the other way, play a similar thing with this is the microphone from the Anthem. All right, and now I'll mix them together a little bit. So give mostly mic with a little bit of the Piezo pickup mixed in. All right, hopefully that gives us a good comparison of the sounds. I will say I really like the sound, the body that I get when I'm using the microphone with a little bit of the Piezo for some crispness, and I think the mix is really good. So overall I'm really glad. I'm glad I didn't have to drill to get this in, and overall I'm pretty happy with this mix-up. So that is my upgrade of the Anthem pickup in my Taylor 414.